Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. We almost went with all number ones today, but we did kind of a last minute switcheroo. And let's dive right in because we've got a number one, but also a returning favorite in the same book.
So we've got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring.
Ooh.
So this series, when the first series came out, I just kind of like picked it up on a whim because like you'd been like doing the pull and holds, getting stuff ready, and you had all the books out, and you were kind of like flipping through and you're like, oh, this is like
Twisted.
Yeah, and so like I'm like, oh, well, I should go check that out then. You intuit what you want from that.
Yeah.
But so then, yeah, I picked it up and I was instantly hooked. The whole mishmash of like serial killer true crime with this kind of like Richard Scarry art style was just like an instant hook for me.
What was the old book series, Busy Town? Is that?
Yeah.
It's very much got that kind of vibe.
Yeah. But so basically the premise is it's like you got Sam here is a serial killer. She lives in this quiet little town. Just happens to deal with some other kooky shenanigans going on. Like one of the things I really enjoyed about the first volume is it does a lot to flesh out these little like side characters and really like make this place feel lived in, which is important when her whole thing is just like, this is my territory. I don't like things messing with it. I've got my whole process and everything. And yeah, like that whole original run, it was super, like I know we had a lot of people checking it out here. It was very well received. And obviously did very well because now we've got our sequel here.
Oh yeah, it was a surprise smash hit. I know that they had an inkling that it was going to be big because there were quite a few promos before the first series came out. But yeah, it blew up.
Oh yeah, but so we've got, this was announced at New York Comic Con last year, if I remember correctly. So this sequel series, it takes place 8 years after the original one. And it follows this new character here, Monica, who is the sister of the first victim that we see, at least, Sam, get in the original series. Her brother...
The vivisected duck.
Yes. And she has spent the last 8 years, like, trying to figure out what happened to him.
Obsessing.
Yes, like, she's moved to the city he was living in. She's, like, she got a job there thinking it was going to be temporary. All these years later, she's, like, a manager there now, like... But she's developed, like, no social life. Like, her coworkers are constantly trying to get her to, like, come out and hang, which she is just, like, basically just stays at home. She's either at home all the time, like, on, like, forums trying to, like, talk with people, find out if anyone knows anything, or she's just visiting every police station she can, trying to be like, hey, like, here's my number, contact me about any missing persons or bodies that are found, like, and...
Chain smoking the whole time.
Yeah, and... Obviously, after 8 years of doing this, like, nonstop, it's, like, it's wearing on her. She's, like, you can feel, like, there's this sense of just, like, is this ever going to change? Like, every time there's a hint of hope, it just is instantly dashed. And then, out of the blue, get some response from one of her posts about, like, hey, come to this town. There might be answers here. And from there, there's the last page has a certain twist to it that, like, I really can't fathom where they're going with that because it's like, because obviously I'm not going to spoil it for you here, but like it threatens to like upend like everything, but like there's got to be a reason. And one of the things I'm super curious about is some of the other solicits for the upcoming issues. So this is like after the event of the original series, but it's also saying that they're going to kind of like delve into like how Sam like got on the path that she is on, like how she became a serial killer and how that's going to like dovetail into what's happening now with Monica coming to the town and trying to like figure out what happened to her brother, how those are going to like come together, how that's going to build off of stuff that we saw in the original series. I don't know, and that has me like beyond excited to figure out like how it's all going to intertwine.
Definitely. Is it too much to ask that at some point Sam gets captured and we get like a Silence of the Lambs, Mind Hunter kind of like that? She's got to be interviewed to try to help catch a new serial killer or something. That would be awesome for this series, wouldn't it?
If volume I would love if volume 3 is just Silence of the Lambs, but it's like an actual lamb. Like that would be fantastic. That'd be great. But
pick up this book if you like the first one, definitely.
Absolutely. Even if you aren't someone who's into like this kind of like true crime stuff or whatever, it's such a unique little twist on it that I think you'll be hooked anyways.
Yeah, they really do. Even with some of the side characters, you feel like you know them, or at least you can put yourself in their shoes and feel their tension and what have you.
And that's another thing. Like, there's throughout the book, despite the fact that it's mostly just Monica going through her day-to-day life, like there's this like sense of tension and like like peak and valley. Like there's these moments of just like where it like really like kind of hits you like how stressful everything here is, and it's so good at that.
Great series.
Yeah, I'm so happy it's back. I hope if they want to do more after this, I hope they do. But for now, I will very much enjoy this very fun, very somewhat upsetting comic.
Oh yeah.
Like don't read it if you're not okay with seeing various critters like vivisected, as you said. Yeah,
for sure.
But speaking of a different, yours has some other bits of violence and troubling implications in yours.
Yeah. So I went with Absolute Superman number 9, and we've had lots of the Absolute books up here. At this point in Cal's journey, he has hooked up with the Omega Men. And so there's these kind of two factions. There's the Lazarus group and there's the Omega Men. And the Omega Men are basically like guerrillas.
Yeah,
or terrorists, depending on
you can say
how
terrorists, you can say rebels.
Yep.
It's that kind of whole deal.
And so Superman was injured. Sorry, a little. Superman was injured in the last issue, and so now we're dealing with the repercussions from that. And there's some technology that shows up that those familiar with the DC universe will recognize, and that Omega Men. There's already like it's funny how there are so many like themes reused in the DC universe, and you just kind of know them in the way that they are there in that continuity, and you don't really think about like, oh, there are similar threads or I don't know, concepts or even just words being used over and over again with unconnected groups.
Yeah.
But when you start taking those ideas and putting them into a blender, you can connect those together in a new, interesting way. So Peacekeepers and Omega Men and all that kind of stuff, and how it's all coming together. And then, we were talking before, like, hey, the whole premise of this reality is based on Darkseid created it somehow. When he disappeared at the beginning of Justice League Unlimited and the end of...
At the start of like the DC All-In period.
What was the lead-in to that?
I think it was just called DC All-In. I think that's what the one-shot was called.
Yeah, because it was after the Lazarus pits explode and all of that, and then whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's going to be really interesting to see how things go. We are going further into knowing more about Jimmy Olsen. We see Lois Lane with her back up against the wall, and she does not back down. And then, it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes. We also get a warning from Saul or Soul, however you want to pronounce, probably Soul, Cal's computer that is accompanying him, like, you need to stay away from that technology. Yeah. And Cal got a vision while interfacing with it. And the vision is, we know what it is as DC readers, but certainly nobody on this planet really understands or comprehends what's going on. So it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes.
And I really love how this series has been ramping up, like how angry and frustrated Cal is with the whole situation, because like he doesn't want to be involved in like really any of this, but he's just quickly learning like there's nowhere in the world he can go where he can escape.
Yeah, because
like,
he's contemplating like maybe I should just.
What if I just live on a mountain somewhere?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Could I jump to the moon if I had to? Like,
well, there's an implication that him absorbing the radiation from the sun that gives him power is maybe also changing him.
Yeah.
And making him angrier and more volatile.
Yeah, they've been. Because I remember, there was the issue a couple ones ago where it's when he's first coming to Earth and like it's like actively painful for him when he first like starts coming near the yellow sun. Like his like body can't handle it, and like how that's all building between that and his emotional state. Like how with all these like various like parties like gunning for him in some, whether it's because they want to use him or they want him to like join them in some capacity. It's how all these things are going to like come together. I feel like it's going to be very explosive when it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it feels like you're just waiting for like the countdown on a bomb to like hit zero, and when it like what's going to happen when it does, couldn't say, but it's probably going to be big.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Speaking of gunning for him, I'll be interested to see what people's feedback on the movie coming out this weekend. We're just starting to see some of the early reviews.
Got a little.
So, yep. It's going to be Monday before I get a chance to see it because I'm going to hide in the woods for a few days with the family.
I mean, hey,
I hope it doesn't turn into a beneath the tree situation. I do not want to be chopped up into pieces and buried in paint cans around the forest. But anyway. Yeah, so on social media and YouTube, leave comments about what you think of the movie. No trolling, just a troll though, please.
And if you do happen to like see it before like other people when you hear, try to like if it comes up like keep spoilers to minimum for like
Brad.
Yeah. Some people don't get to go to the theaters right away. I'll be seeing it Friday night, so like you won't have to worry about me.
Yeah, but you can text me, just your overall.
I'll send you.
Send me your.
I'll send you like a no context spoiler thing of just like.
Yeah, sure.
Just so you can like try and parse out what that means. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for that. All the Superman stuff in general has been really good recently. Like the new issue Supergirl was out this weekend. I really enjoyed that.
Well, I think they're kind of going back to embracing some of the core tenets of the character again, rather than feeling like they're outdated or out of touch. They're kind of going back, and some of that could be just kind of a shift in the world. I think we kind of go through cycles as societies, and it could just be that we're ready for that Superman kind of character again. So anyway, well, speaking of another movie, comic book property.
Yeah, we've got the relaunch of Fantastic Four.
Relaunch is strong.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's one of those things where like it's just a continuation of the previous run, but hey, new number one is always nice.
Yeah, so. I'm excited about this because I've really enjoyed Ryan North on this series. One World Under Doom is fine. It's an event book. I've been around since the beginning of the event books, and it's they're whatever.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, I agree. Like, I've been enjoying it. It's nothing, like, spectacular, but I know I've read far worse.
Oh, my God.
Like, there's been event books where it's just like, cool, I don't have to check in on any of this. Where this is like, no, like, it's been fun. It's been, like, and a real good byproduct of it is, since he's writing both that and Fantastic Four, is getting to, like, how they interact with it all. Because, obviously, doing Fantastic Four, they're, like, always, like, intermeshed in, like, some capacity. Yep. And here we get them after everything with the previous arc where they're like losing their powers and stuff. They're back. They're at full strength. They're like, okay, let's go like take care of this Doom thing.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that the back at full strength is the excuse for the number one, but it's really probably because they brought on a new artist, Humberto Ramos.
Yes, obviously I love the previous run. Added up here multiple times. The like one of the only real complaints I ever had was like. Well, like, generally the artists they had on were, like, pretty consistent in terms of, like, their art styles to each other. Like, the book never had, like, I felt, like, truly strong visual identity, like, a lot.
It was a little generic.
Yeah, because, like, you look at a lot of the other, like, big Fantastic Four runs, there's always, like, a certain, like, visual, like, obviously you got Kirby on the original run, you've got Byrne during his tenure, Marengo during Wade's run.
Yeah.
Like, they're, like... and even outside of that, like a lot of books, like part of what like sets them up is like having a certain like distinct visual style to it. And I think like just going off this issue, having Ramos on the art, like because he's got this like more kind of exaggerated, like sometimes kind of like cartoony style, but like at the same time, like he can also like rein it in. Like he does have these very like strong emotional beats he can do with the character. Like his body language is like always fantastic.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with the way that he kind of approaches figure positioning and everything, it works out really great for like Thing being this massive, powerful guy, and then also the Mr. Fantastic stuff in here was great.
The bit where like he gets like hit by a boulder and just kind of like warps it, like
yeah, because he's a kite. He's just
he's on boats.
His legs into giant stilts. He's a sailboat, you know? Like, in it, sometimes when people do that, it feels kind of ridiculous, right? Like, but other times it works really well. And this is one of those times. And he kind of toned down. Like I was telling you, I think this is the best Mustache Johnny that I've seen so far.
I'm so happy that they're keeping the mustache like that.
Yeah, but the writing continues to be really good. And I felt like, yeah, like you were saying before, the writing was always really good, and there wasn't anything in particular about the art that I didn't dislike, but this clicks better.
Yeah.
And now I can kind of see that. And I think, and I'm also hopeful that Ramos is going to be able to keep up with the pencils on this, because he has a long history of doing a pretty good job of staying on books.
Yeah, he's usually like a pretty like consistent artist in terms of like keeping his output going. But I think it also helps that he gets to like play with such like distinct like settings here, because like the whole thing is they're going to challenge Doom, things are looking good, and then Doom's just like, screw you guys, you're going to not your home, and just like tosses them into the time stream. And
which
so,
is
like,
a very Doom thing.
Very Doom thing. So like each one like lands in like different periods in time, and like it, like at first you wonder like, oh, does he just kind of like toss them out there until like, but then like as it's going, you kind of realize like, oh no, like there's definitely like some kind of reason for why he picks like the times he does that like correlates to like certain characters. Like Johnny's in a place where like, hey, having like a firepower maybe isn't like the best, or like
it's neutralized.
Yeah, and like stuff like that. So you get that, but then you also get like the four of them like, okay, we've got like, because they've done enough time travel stuff at this point, we've got like an idea of like how to like get around all this. And so like you see this plan forming, and then you get to the end of the issue and you figure out like, okay, maybe like the plan isn't going to work quite as we thought it would.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Like these things never really do.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, and we talked about this a number of times as we've picked Ryan North's Fantastic Four issues. Even though they're separated, it still comes back to their family dynamic that works together. So the first thing that they try to do is figure out, they realize that they're alone, and they figure out, how do I reconnect with the family because we're stronger together. It was just really good. I also really love how North, and now Ramos coming onto the book, how they are able to really get each of the individual characters' personalities down so succinctly and effectively. You know, it's real quick that you start figuring out that you know what their talents are bringing to this book, really amplify each individual character, and then that dynamic between them is going to be even more fun. So yeah, I'm really excited. All right, well, we've got you know, a couple movie books up here, and then one that would make a really great series.
It'll be so interesting to see, because obviously, like, we live in a world now where, like, a lot of times you get a hit comic, like, someone comes up with, like, a TV or movie option for it. So, like, I wouldn't say no if they did it.
Oh my God, how great would it be as just an animated, like, you know...
I foresee so many parents being like, oh, here's like a thumbnail for like a cute animal thing, putting it on, and their child just like screaming just because like, why can't I see the duck's brains?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, great segue into what. Let's pick your brain for what else you have this week. You almost had a new number one.
Yeah, there was another new series out this week, The Unchosen by David Marquez, who most of you probably know mostly just from his art. He's been doing Uncanny X-Men for a bit. I think he's going to be off that for a bit now just because he's doing this. But he's done a bunch of other things. He's done a bunch of like Spider-Man, Justice League, all kinds of cool stuff there. But this is the first time both drawing and writing a book, as far as I'm aware. And I think he's off to a strong start. Like, it's very much you're dropped into the situation. You don't quite understand, like, everything that's going on. There's clearly these kind of, like, different factions with magical powers that are fighting over this girl that seems important to it all. But, like, gorgeous. So, like, dude, like, does action so well. His character stuff, I feel like his style here is a little more kind of, like, loose and cartoony compared to some of his other stuff I've seen, but like it really works for like what he's doing, and it definitely doesn't hinder any of his other strengths. So like I think it's a really good start there if you're interested in checking out a fun little indie book. I think it's only going to be 4 issues. This initial.
I didn't flip through it, but I know that it had a lot of buzz, so we got a pretty decent number of issues on the shelf. I'll have to flip through it now that you're.
It was good. A couple other good indie books this week. Free Planet. I continue to really enjoy that. It's very dense, but it also is just super fun. There's a whole like dogfighting sequence where like you actually have to like rotate the comic because like the ships are like spinning around each other. That was super cool. Transformers continues.
Transformers was really good.
Like very nearly made it up here, to be honest.
Yeah, and you can kind of like. I like how the Energon universe keeps kind of, winding these threads through things. And then this is one of those issues where you can kind of start to feel those threads kind of start to pull towards each other, and they're going to come together to converge for this event that they're building up towards. And
it's especially exciting because, like, I think we mentioned before that they announced a while back that, like, Daniel Moore Johnson, he's going to only begun to issue 24.
Right.
And this is issue 22, so we're almost there.
Almost there.
But then last week they announced who's going to be taking over for him.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be Robert Kirkman, which isn't too surprising. He's the architect of all this. So like, he's already doing Void Rivals, so him doing Transformers makes sense. But then Dan Mora is coming up for art. And
we saw some of his
work. They put out, so you can look it up. They had an announcement. They've got like some of his art out already, and
it's gorgeous. It's totally different.
You almost have to wonder if he's got like a clone somewhere, because like the amount of stuff he's doing
it out,
like at DC and all this, because he's still doing a bunch of stuff there too. Like I don't know how he does it, but
it's Jack Kirby like.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but like. I'm sad to see the current run ending, but I'm super excited to see what happens next.
It makes me wonder what's going to happen with Void Rivals. Is Kirkman going to keep doing both?
Is he
going to be writing 3 books right now?
Yeah, because he's got another book coming up in September as well.
That would make 4 because he's writing Invincible Battle Beast, isn't he?
So he's got
not that there's a ton of dialogue in that one or anything. It's mostly
to be fair, more than
face biting and
Yeah, but no, so a bunch of stuff that's out right now that's exciting, more stuff coming to be excited for. Anything this week for you?
Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion #2 came out. We talked about that. This is, kind of a groundwork kind of issue.
Yeah.
The first one was, you pluck Miles out of the 616 and drop him into this new Ultimate Universe, which I don't know. Does it have a number designation?
I think it's 6160 is this one?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
But I love there's a bit in there where, like, because it's kind of like the first kind of confrontation between, like, the Ultimates and, like, Black Panther, and there's a great bit where Killmonger's like, we should compare notes about being that's a fun little bit.
Yeah, and we get some dark foreshadowing for some stuff that because of our insights of reading Ultimates, we know that there's some shenanigans going on, and then we get some kind of insight into a character who is one step removed, but like closely tied to a character that's up to something no good, and how that's all going to play out is going to be really interesting. But all right, well, it was a great week. I'm super excited for this weekend and for all the people going to see Superman. I'm hoping that it's a great movie. There's been a lot of talk about, the superhero genre is dead. People just aren't interested in it anymore. And I'm like, they've said that about all kinds of genres throughout time, gangster movies or mob or crime movies, westerns, fantasy, science fiction, all of that kind of stuff. And things go in cycles, but I think that a lot of it has to do with there are so many copycats when a particular genre gets popular that the whole storytelling process gets really watered down. And I'm really hopeful that these next two, Superman and Fantastic Four, are just going to be good movies. I don't care about the volume of superhero movies, and honestly, if there are no superhero movies, I just want good movies coming out. And if they happen to be a superhero, that's great, But so hopefully we'll get that. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on all of the things that we've talked about today and just comic books in general and how they tie to other parts of popular culture. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, stop on into your local comic shop. Hopefully that's us if you're close by. If you're in, I don't know, Sweden or Australia or wherever you happen to be, go support that local comic shop because that's what keeps this whole thing going round and round and round.
Oh, speaking of going around, we should also mention we got the comic wall.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, our back issue wall.
Yep. Thank you to Chris for coming up from Rochester to help me build our recent back issue and wall book wall. So, yeah, it turned out really great. So stop in and check that out. And that's going to make it easier for people to be able to, not have to stop in every single week, and then you'll be able to go find that issue from 2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever without having to dig in the boxes. But in our new setup, the back issue boxes are very accessible and nice and
very
organized
popular.
and everything. Yeah, it's been great. So, yeah, awesome. All right, well, we will be back next week with more Pulp Picks, and until then, enjoy the reading. Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
Wait, did I hit start?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I think I did. Yep, I did.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, now we know what goes over the end of the video.
There you go.